Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Thursday edition of the Computer America Show. We have a terrific show for you. Well, we had one yesterday, and we have one again today. In the second hour, we're going to do computer and technology news. That's brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. In the first hour, we have Tech50 Plus here. We have the publication's founder and chief content officer, Gary M.K., is going to be here with us tonight.
1 minute until showtime.
And, of course, comments and suggestions and interactions. So sit back, relax, enjoy 2 hours of Computer America. Oh.
What's up?
Can't believe it's Thursday already. Wow.
I know, the week's flying by.
Yeah, it is. You know.
It'll be Friday before you know it.
Yeah, probably tomorrow, I would guess.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Never see these things coming.
No, you never do.
You should ask Siri.
Yeah, I should ask her. 20 seconds. Gary, put yourself back on mute, please. Ten seconds.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
The Computer America Show is brought to you by Bell Ringers. It's newer than news when you're right there as it first debuts. Visit our sponsor's website at bellringersmedia.com. Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And welcome into the day after Windows 10 Day. We can start doing it now. It'll be 2 days after, 3 days after. We'll have to do an up counting here to keep this happening. But yes, it is the day after. I checked my not mailbox, but the Windows area there, and still no Windows 10. I guess you didn't get yours either.
Yeah. Funny story. They're going through and picking up all the news stories for the day, and we're going to talk about in the second hour a website that you can go to start your download immediately. You don't have to. You can, I guess, skip ahead.
Really? Okay. Well, that's
Microsoft has a page where you can just go and download it right away instead of waiting for the whatever wave you may be sitting in. You can just go to this website and download it immediately.
Is it sanctioned by Microsoft?
It is from Microsoft. It's Microsoft.com.
All right. Well, then, okay. Then I guess my wild guess is it's probably sanctioned by Microsoft.
If it's on their website, yes.
It is. Okay.
They obviously don't want everyone doing it because, again, it would crash all their servers and make everyone very, very annoyed. But, hey, we like you guys, so we'll go ahead and spill the beans and tell you how to go download the operating system now instead of waiting for it to be pushed to your computer.
Now, have you done that yet?
No, I actually just found it not even 10 seconds ago. It was very, very surprising because yesterday I guess I gave out some false information because yesterday I said that you had to wait, but turns out this website is now available, so
good.
You don't have to wait.
All right, well, we'll talk about that. And, of course, in the second hour, we're going to be doing computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. So we have some that story and many more interesting in the second hour. And in the first hour, we're going to be talking to the co-founder and I guess content provider. He's not co-founder. He's the founder and chief content officer. Excuse me. Of Tech50 Plus, Gary K. is here with us as well. So we'll be getting to him momentarily. In the meantime, if you have a comment or a question we'd love for you to give us a call. It is 347-884-8881. 347-884-8881. I'll get you on and get you through. Okay, that's the first thing you do. Now, if you're radio shy and you don't want to go on the air, but you still have a question or a comment or a suggestion, you can go to computeramerica.com. And before I tell you what we've done, we actually had a question, a comment from one of our listeners yesterday. And the question or comment is, he says, every time, and it's from Jonathan, he says, every time I go to submit a question, it refreshes the entire page, causing the video stream, which shares the comment and Twitter page, to cut out for several seconds. He says, you might want to put the question for him in a separate iframe or something to prevent that. Well, Jonathan, we hear you, and we've done exactly that, because now if you go over to Show Lounge and you hover over it, it'll say submit a question, and select that, and you'll see submit your question. It'll ask you what your name is, email. It'll also, we've added something, it's called guest. So this, because we say this question is for which guest. We might have more than one guest on the program, and so we want you to say which guest is, and then put in your question or comment, whatever, and then click the submit button, and then Ben and I will see it immediately, and then if it's relevant, we will certainly, talk about it, read it on the air.
Okay. We will get to it.
Yes, we will get to it. So that's another way you can interact with us, and of course, you can also, we are a radio broadcast, but you can also watch us. Watch us? Yes, you can watch us. We actually provide the live video stream of this show, this program. All you have to do is go to the Show Lounge, which is right above the submit a question, and just click on the Show Lounge selection, and it will immediately begin streaming Computer America's live video, which you can watch. And what do you see? Well, you see me, of course, doing the show. You'll see Ben doing the show. Sometimes you'll see our guest. You'll see our guest tonight as well. But not only that, Ben has this really cool technology. It's called Chroma Key, and if we have to display the website for the guest or videos of the guest, whatever, you can actually see that happening on Ben's live video stream. So just one more thing where you can see what's going on. It just makes
technically Chroma Key doesn't allow me to do that. It just kind of keeps my little head in a little box that blends in with the background. But yes, we have the ability to show any website that we're talking about. If you don't feel like going and finding it yourself, or you just want to sit back, enjoy, and watch the video, we will have it up for you anyways. So just one less step.
Yes, it is. So there you go. Okay, so anything else you want to mention? So now you know how to call us, 347-884-8881. Anything else you want to talk about before I introduce our guest tonight, Ben?
No, lots of interesting news stories, but we'll get to those in the second hour. But our first hour guest has been waiting so patiently.
Well, let's do it. Okay, Tech50 Plus is an online magazine with the motto, Technology with a Boomer Perspective. Interesting motto. It's written by Gary Kay, an award-winning journalist who has been covering tech since 1981. After a career with major networks, he now writes about tech for the 50-plus market. That's over 50, right? Gary is Tech50 Plus's founder and chief content officer. Gary, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
I'm just fine, Kirk. Thank you, and thank you, Ben. Good evening to you both.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the. I mean, I bet you mentioned you've been covering tech since 1981. I mean, how did you get into all of that?
Well, I've been a broadcast journalist since really the late 60s, early 70s. And in 1981, I was working for NBC Radio News when IBM introduced its first personal computer.
Mm-hmm.
And I turned around to my boss at that point and I said, this device is going to totally revolutionize the way that we live and work. And he looked at me like I had just fallen off of Mars. He goes, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, well, I'd like to start covering it. And he said, okay, go to it. So I teamed up with a guy by the name of Bob Madigan, who then went on to WTOP for many years, working for the same fellow. And we did something called the Soft Spot. And it was a great way to glom free software for our brand new PCs. And I didn't know all that much about it. I'd had a college roommate who was really into this stuff. In fact, he went on to become the chief technology officer for Intel for more than a decade. So he really had gotten me interested in the stuff. And when IBM came out with the PC, more than like the Commodores and the Sinclairs or the trash 80s, I said, okay, now this is serious. Now this is going to be for real. And decided that there was a good chance that in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man could become king. So I started covering the industry.
So I got to ask you, Gary, do you ever keep in touch with the guy who said, who thought you were, coming from Mars, and when you said this is going to revolutionary, and you say, you see, I was right? I mean, did you, or did he?
No, actually, we're still good friends.
Okay.
He just retired. He'd been news director of the big all news radio station in DC, WTOP, for many years.
But he lived to see. He said, Gary, you were right way back then.
No, he was. In fact, the only person who was wrong. He was the one who said, go ahead and do it. The only person who was wrong was a fellow by the name of Peter Jennings at ABC, and I worked for Peter as his technology producer. And when ABC got sold and budgets got tight, they had to make a decision on World News Tonight between a religion unit and a technology unit, and they decided in favor of the religion unit. And Peter turned around to me years later and he said, "Oops."
Interesting story. Wow, Peter Jennings. Well, let's talk a little bit about this publication. Why did you feel motivated or felt that you needed to start a publication like Tech50 Plus?
Well, I had left the Fox Business Network, where I'd been their lead producer on technology, and we won't even get into the reasons why I left Fox. But anyway, when I did that and I needed to do something to make a living, I started looking around, and I was doing a series of articles for AARP called See Me, Hear Me, which was about the way that the consumer electronics industry was treating or not treating the baby boomers. And I saw that there were huge gaps in the needs of this generation and what the technology industry was delivering, and decided that was a reasonable niche to get started in.
I always run a risk of a danger when one generalizes, Gary. But would you say that many people who are baby boomers are having trouble with technology, or do you think they were able to slide into it fairly easily?
Well, let's take a look at a couple of issues here. First of all, IBM introduced its first PC in 1981. So if you were 21 years old now, you're over 55 already. All right, so it's been around for a long time, and so you've got an entire generation that came up with these things in the office. More than that, this is the generation that started digital technology. It's Bill Gates, it was Steve Jobs, it's Michael Dell, it's all of these people. They're all the baby boomers. So this is nothing new. And what I tell folks is that this generation has not lost its passion for technology. It's always been interested in technology. This was smartphones, it was PCs, it was desktops, it was laptops, it was MP3 players. We have not lost our passion for the technology. What we've lost is some of our eyesight. We've lost some of our hearing, we've lost some of our manual dexterity, and frankly what we've lost mostly is our patience to deal with crap that doesn't work right.
I think that's everyone, not just baby boomers, that if they don't get it right away, then it's broken, not that you don't know how to use it.
Well, I think you're quite right, but a younger generation, if you're 25 or 30 years old, you're willing to do more peeking and poking, and trying to tweak it. You get to be 55 or 60, and you just go, what, this is going back to the store. If I can't get this right the first time, it's not me because I'm conversant with the technology. And we try to appeal to an audience that is somewhat conversant with tech. It's not a neophyte audience that we're going after. But we try and do it with no, feeds or speeds, no geek speak, plain simple language. But what I see day in and day out is devices that are hard to read, portable devices with cases that are black with black buttons and black port covers. And I've sat down with guys who are executives at some of the major companies, and I've said, "Can you find where the port is?" And they've spent 15, 20 minutes trying to find the port cover that their younger engineers had designed to blend in with the case. Come on, guys. If you can't find it and you're an executive, how did you let this go through? Well, we didn't think in terms of, or they didn't think in terms of universal design.
Mm. And it's interesting because so are we talking when you say Tech 50 Plus? You're saying that are they now the AARP crowd?
Well, what we're trying to do is go after an audience. We've sort of switched focus a little bit over the last year from strictly boomers to those 50 and up, because after all, the boomers are only going to get to be a smaller and smaller group as they get older and die. So we didn't want to lose that ability to keep the audience moving. So we decided to focus on 50 plus, because once you hit 50 or 55, you start hitting the same problems of eyesight and dexterity and hearing loss and so on.
You could change the name of the publication to Tech 40 Plus and then Tech 30 Plus. I mean, as time moves on.
Well, that's the AARP strategy. AARP has been going younger and younger and younger, and the audience isn't buying it. They're going, you can tell me that you're AARP and you want to go after 40-year-olds, and the 40-year-olds are going, no, I don't think so. So, I don't think that I'm going to try and kid my audience. I think I can serve an audience by saying, this is material that we think is going to be good for you because it's going to help you with problems that you have, and we're not going to play make-believe.
Got it. So now you call yourself the Chief Content Officer. Is that basically the same thing as the editor for Tech 50 Plus?
Well, it is. I mean, when I designed this thing originally, I was hoping I would actually have a business partner who would do the business end of things, and I could just deal with content. And it hasn't quite worked out that way. I've had people come in and come out, but I've had to be sort of chief cook and bottle washer on all accounts. But I think that editor implies somebody who gathers other people's things and then goes over them with a pencil or on a computer. And I'm trying to really help, really trying to design this thing and keep a theme going as we go forward, and write as much as I can. I love to write, but we've of late added about 5 writers, all of whom have tremendous experience.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because because when we get to the publication itself, I mean, you had different categories, but I noticed you're not the only person who writes. There are other names that are on there, and we'll talk about them a little bit. But I guess my question is, how do you get these people? How do you find them? Are they stringers? Do you check the technical backgrounds, or you know who they are? I mean, how do they qualify?
I've been doing this crap for 30 years now, so I met a lot of people. So most of the guys who I've got writing for me are people who I've known for a long time, people who have great reputations, people like John Quain, who write for Fox Business, Fox News, and the New York Times, Eric Taub, who writes for the New York Times, Fred Fishkin, who's been doing audio about technology probably longer than you, Craig, if going back to boot camp at WCBS Radio and then at Bloomberg. But these are all people who are over 50. with the exception of an occasional piece from my daughter.
Well, nepotism thrown in there, maybe.
God bless it. Yes. I mean, my first big job in the industry was working for NBC, and it was nicknamed the Nepotism Broadcasting Company because there were 2 and 3 generations of folks working there from the same family. But she's a special ed teacher with a specialty in assistive technology, so she knows her stuff.
Obviously. Well, this is good. So let's talk a little bit some of the categories in Tech50.
Well, actually, real quick, just to bring it back to what do you do that other websites don't. One thing that I think a lot of, and I'm not saying that everyone's gullible, but unfortunately, the 50+ crowd they tend to fall for scams at a much higher rate than most other people, and I'm assuming that your website runs on advertising like many others do, and I was wondering if do you allow banner ads, because or if you do you kind of keep them strictly to a set product, because a website geared directly to this, if you don't keep a handle on your advertising, flashing ads, click here, you're a winner, free subscription, blah 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 blah, your website seems like the perfect place to if one was going to try to scam someone, it would be on your site.
Well, basically we have 2 major advertisers, and they are Lenovo, which is about as legit as you get, and AVG, who does the antivirus software.
Yes.
We also do Google AdSense because it's marginal income. Frankly, I'm hoping that if we can get a couple of really solid sponsors, I don't need to do that anymore because it's more clutter than I would like. But I got to pay the bills.
Sure.
But no, we try not to keep a lot of garbage in there, and it's not really open to anybody who just wants to throw crap out there.
Makes sense.
And another question is, who built the website for you? Did you do that, or did you have somebody do it for you?
We originally built it with a WordPress theme, and then and it really started off essentially as a blog where I was really the only contributor, and then about a year ago we did a major overhaul using WordPress as a base, but built it with our own theme. I had an outside developer do it. I mean, I've taken a little bit of HTML, but I really wouldn't consider myself at all capable of doing an entire website. And we're making some changes now. We've gone through several web developers. I mean, again, the reality is we've only got limited income, limited resources, and I don't have somebody I can afford to hire for a 40 or 50-hour week.
Right. Well, have you thought of services like, for example, Wix or things which are very simple to use, but you can do some really very sophisticated websites without having to know HTML5 and all those things? Have you ever looked at?
I have. To be blunt, Craig, the notion of just keeping up with the content of this site is a full-time job. And so I've been able to find people. Right now I've got somebody who's really wonderful, who I can just make a phone call to and say, here are my design needs, here are my development needs, can you just get this done? And it becomes a much simpler process for me. I would like to devote 100% of my time to creating the content, to managing the content and looking forward, and not dealing at all to the web development nuts and bolts.
And point taken. I mean, listen, with us, we've gone through how many generations of websites?
Well, like our third one this week.
Yeah, exactly. So it is a big job. There's a lot of work, but there are services that that do make it easier, and a lot of them are free. So, but okay. So let's. If I were to ask you the question, what do you do that other tech websites don't? What would you say that would be?
The answer is pretty simple. We actually try and look at every product that we take on, or every issue that we take on, from the perspective of somebody who's over 50 years old. So when we do our what we call our hot stuff reviews, which are the latest and greatest, the tablets, the smartphones, and so on.
Mhm.
We ask 4 very simple questions. We're sort of Jewish because we ask the 4 questions. If you don't know what we're talking about, guys, I'm sorry. It's all right.
I do. Ben might not.
Not at all.
But we ask 4 questions. We say, what is it? Is it 50 plus friendly? What's the frustration factor? And is it worth the money? That's it. I'm not interested in the feeds and speeds. I'm not interested in the number of pixels. I'm interested in, does it work? Does it look good? Is it easy for me to set up?
I thought it would be, why is this product different than all other products?
Well, a little bit of that there too. Exactly.
Exactly.
But we talk about whether the font is readable. We talk about whether the instruction manual is something that you require a magnifying glass for. We talk about whether or not you can follow the instructions. We talk about whether or not you run into tech support problems just getting it up and running.
Although we're finding more and more products these days have less and less manuals, and more of the manuals are now online. And of course, you can make those that pretty much adjust the font to any size you like. I mean,
and I like that idea. I mean, at least these people are acknowledging, here's where you can find it, instead of sticking something in the product that is unreadable.
Right, or just maybe a quick start at something and
Yep.
say more information. You get here's the whole, download the whole menu. I mean, we're in a day and age now, Gary, that you don't really walk into a store to buy software anymore. You still have to buy the hardware, but for the most part, most software is now downloadable, and usually the instructions that come with it are online, and you can read them at any size that you want, which is really, really nice. But I certainly see your point.
Well, I mean, let's take half a step backwards. One of the problems, and this is certainly largely true in the PC world more than in the Apple world, is that you have a lot of products that are designed to meet a standard. But the reality is that the standard is not uniform. Bluetooth is a great example. Wi-Fi is another great example. There are all of these devices that are supposed to be plug and play, and they don't really work easily with one another.
But a lot of that has changed, though. I remember when plug and play first came out years ago. It was what the intent was, and what we actually got was worse, nowhere near it. But isn't that improving? I mean, we're seeing things better organized in that way.
It is absolutely improving, but it's still not there. And we're talking about 30 years on into the development of the x86 platform. This is almost silly that this stuff doesn't work together out of the box right every time. And we're still sitting here with benchmarks on, gee, how much better is it than it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago, rather than, looking at it from the perspective of an automobile. We would never accept this kind of performance from a car.
Mm-hmm. No, that's very true. So you don't, are you saying that the consumer electronics industry isn't really serving the needs of the 50 plus market?
Yeah, I'd say that. They are basically led by people at the design echelons who are in their 20s and their 30s, and they don't even think in terms of looking at a product from the perspective of somebody whose eyesight isn't perfect, because their eyesight is perfect. They don't look at it from the perspective of somebody whose hearing isn't perfect, because their hearing is perfect, whose dexterity isn't perfect, whose fingers can't manipulate a tiny screen.
Mm.
And so for the most part, they fail. Now, that's not universal, and things have gotten better. One terrific example is Apple. In fact, we just started today our primer on accessibility. Apple's done a marvelous job on building accessibility functions into iOS, for example. The bad news is that Apple has been so fearful about being identified with an older crowd. They don't want it. So they bury this stuff. They go, yeah, we're building all this stuff in there, but you know what? You're going to have to go look for it, because we're not going to tell you about it up front.
And we're coming out, and here we are. Here's our Apple Watch, which has a screen that's about the size of a 1-inch screen, which is going to
Right,
help.
but interestingly enough, you can blow up the screen on the Apple Watch. I'm not thrilled necessarily with the results, but you can do that. But it took me 3 years, literally 3 years, before I found out about the 3-finger tap on the Apple iPhone.
Yeah.
And how you could blow up the screen. And I'm sitting next to people on the Amtrak trains here in the Northeast who are looking at their iPhone with a magnifying glass, not knowing that there's a way that they can blow up the screen. I mean, that's just silly.
Do you tell those people, hey, you don't need a magnifying, just
Absolutely, absolutely.
And when you show them, what do they say to you?
Oh my God! I didn't know I could do that. Yeah. I mean, it's
tell them at least about Tech50 Plus, the website, that they can find it out. Right?
And I give them a business card.
Right.
It's like, I mean, every viewer is a warm body. That's it.
Okay. So, what you're saying basically is that when it comes to tech, it's a different market than other markets.
Well, it is, and again, it's a matter of a couple of things. One is patience. And, I look at some of the new trends. One of the most interesting things to me is what Ron Johnson is doing.
Well, I'll tell you what. Before you tell us about Ron, and I shouldn't have asked you that question because we're right up against our first break. So why don't we'll just put that on hold and we'll come back to that. Okay?
Fair enough.
All right. You're listening to the Computer America Show. Ben and I are talking to Gary Kay, an award-winning journalist, and he's with us now talking about his website, Tech50 Plus. You can see it at the website at tech50plus.com, and the 50 is the actual number. We've got a news tips, polls, and review from Marty Winston coming up as well, and then we'll go back to Gary, and we'll hear more about his website. This is the Computer America Show. Don't go anywhere.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they are available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Citizens of the third planet.
Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Rack Solutions mat and strap. We've talked about adapting small desktop-style gear, home control gear, small things, to rack mounting by tying things to the Rack Solutions vented shelf that we've covered. One of their more useful rack accessories for helping that happen is their Velcro One-Wrap cable strap. A single length, 180 inches long, on a roll with hooks on one side and loops on the other, so slipping it through vent slots on either side of any kind of tiny little box can snug that down to a shelf. It's also good, of course, for bundling cables together and tying them to inside struts, much as we do when building a PC. They also sent their thin anti-slip mat, a nice way to keep cabling from shoving gear around. Bottom line, Rack Solutions anti-slip mat and Velcro one-wrap cable strap help make rack builds sweeter by being neater. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. 33 minutes past the hour. We are here with Gary Kay. He is the founder and chief content officer for Tech50 Plus, website that we're talking about tonight. And right before the break, we were just about to get into, why is tech such a different market for this age group? And and you just started answering that before the break got in the way.
So there's a guy by the name of Ron Johnson. Some of your listeners may know who he is, but he is the guy who basically created the Apple Store, which was a revolutionary retailing concept. Ron went on to head up JCPenney, where he failed miserably, and he is now doing something called Enjoy. And his concept at Enjoy is to take a handful of products and put together a cadre of experts who will deliver them to your home, to your office, and get you set up with the product. And because they don't carry inventory per se, they're not a store. You can't walk into an Enjoy store. You order it online. They guarantee delivery within 4 hours. Now, they're only starting right now in New York and the San Francisco Bay Area, but they expect to expand, and they've got a ton and a half of venture capital money, given Ron's background. But the concept here is that you turn retailing on its head. Instead of just being an impersonal online delivery or a brick and mortar store where you walk in and depend on a salesperson who probably doesn't know very much at all and will probably insult you before the session's over by talking down to you, you get people who are trained in each of the products. They come out, and their idea is to not only teach you how to get this up and running, whether it's a drone or an action camera or a PC, and for $99, even if it's not a product they'll carry, they'll come and take care of an existing product of yours with the idea that this is a reasonably priced service call, and it is comparative to like Geek Squad and so on, and they'll make a friend out of you, so when you want to buy something, you'll turn around to them and call them. But I think it's things like this, especially for an aging population, when you get into home security, when you get into aging in place, home monitoring, and so on, that's going to become increasingly important.
All right. So let me ask you.
Did I leave you speechless?
No, I mean it's a lot to. It's a lot to absorb, but it's true. I mean, let me ask you this. Can we take a couple of examples of some of the categories that you have in Tech50 Plus? I mean, you got hot stuff and hardware and connections, safe at home. I mean, let's talk about some of the different and why you decided to have these categories on Tech50 Plus.
Oh, because they were as good as anything else. We had in our first incarnation, which was actually called In the Boombox, which resonated with just about nobody.
Okay.
You live and you learn. We had about 20 different categories, and we decided that when we were doing the remake of the website, we needed to compress that into a couple of identifiable categories that we could develop icons for, and people could simply click and find the categories. So we tried to find some bundles that made sense. We're still evolving on that score. But to give you an idea, I mean, hardware is plain and simple. It's like desktops. It's external drives. It's the hardware that you use, printers and so on. Safe at home can be anything from kitchen appliances to security systems. Staying alive is health-related devices.
Oh, that makes sense. No. I thought you were able to keep the two important categories in there, which was connections, which I assume is some kind of dating site, and staying alive, which is all of your favorite disco hits summed up in one tab. But all right, okay, that makes sense.
Okay, all right, I'll take that under advisement, Ben. But and connections actually has to do with is a little bit more esoteric in that it deals with not only physical connections but also emotional connections, connecting generations, connecting memories, and so on. And as I say, we're still sort of making this crap up as we go along.
It won't be easy to find. There's going to be, I'm sure, stories that you want to release or things that won't fit in any one of these. I guess you just have to find, the least amount of categories that fits the most amount of content.
We also have something called features. So we'll try to find some stories. There are issue areas that we're looking at as well, and I mean there are a lot of issues that affect the 50-plus audience that don't necessarily fit into a hard product. One of them is the whole notion of autonomous vehicles. I think this is a huge issue for our audience, because as they face their 70s and 80s, losing their mobility is a very frightening prospect.
Yes, it is. Independence. Yeah, losing your independence.
Yeah.
Well, Ben and I were watching a video about this gentleman who was visually impaired. He was not completely blind, but certainly visually impaired, way beyond him getting a driver's license. And to watch him get into the car and
years ago, it was Google's self-driving car, and a gentleman who hadn't been able to drive to the store in 10 years, they were able to put him inside the Google self-driving car, and off to the store he went to go get his medication and groceries, and that changes someone's life.
Oh, absolutely. And my wife and I are like diametrically opposed on this. She's a PhD in psychology, and she goes, I don't trust it at all. I've got a friend whose mother, God bless her, is 96 years old, and she's still driving, but she's driving into fire hydrants and into parked cars. Would I rather have her out there, driving? She's got her mobility, or would I rather have her in a self-driving car? With its questions, and somebody turned around to me today. In fact, one of the guys who's starting to write for me and said, it's going to be the insurance companies that ultimately help drive the self-driving car, because they're going to be the ones who are going to say, it's going to be a lot cheaper for us to insure a car that has all of this technology in it than to insure a car that has a 96-year-old lady behind the wheel.
Yeah, but it's not. Driving is not a right that's given to you. But it's a
privilege.
It's a privilege. Yeah, it is a privilege. One of the other issue areas that we spend a lot of time looking at is this whole notion of aging in place, telemedicine, remote healthcare monitoring. We are at a critical stage in this country where we just don't have the resources, the money, the people to put people into institutions and take care of them. And that means that unless they want to stick us all out on ice floes to die the way they used to do it's not that funny, the way they used to do the Eskimos. They stopped doing that in 1934, incidentally, at least so I'm told. But unless we want to do that as a society, we have to find some other way of taking care of it. And fortunately, technology actually holds open the possibility that with telemedicine, with remote sensors and so on, with remote dosage metering, we can actually dramatically reduce healthcare costs and hospital readmissions in chronic populations and so on by implementing this technology. The government within this past year has started paying for these telemedicine house calls. Some of the insurance companies are starting to do it as well. But again, this is a huge issue area, and it's not necessarily one product or one series of products.
Well, now, would you say what you were just talking about, uh, the key or the one issue concerning tech that's of overriding interest to your audience, would that be it, or is there something else that you had in mind if I were to ask you that question?
I think that there are two things, and you sort of, you have to sort of divvy things up. I think that on one hand, the consumer technology, the stuff you're picking up in the store, whether it's a smartphone or a tablet or a laptop, and ease of use, all of that I think is sort of is one major sort of cluster, and the other is the ongoing issue areas of, how do you take care of yourself, or if you're in your 50s, how do you take care of your parents?
Yeah.
Moving forward in terms of healthcare, maintenance of lifestyle, ease of survival, and the like.
Okay. So you think so? Now, when you have issues like this, do you believe that your publication is helping to get this information out there, or do you? I mean,
God, I sure hope so, Craig. Because otherwise, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here.
Getting out there, but there's also this thing where you mentioned that you try to take as much of the jargon out as you can, things that might go over your audience head. But can you get it out there and still keep it intact enough that they know what's going on? Because some of these topics, you just can't take the tech out of it.
Well, I think that to some extent, Ben, I would challenge that. I worked for the networks for about 30 years for NBC and CNN and ABC and Fox, covering technology primarily for them, and basically trying to put a lot of these subjects into language for a lay audience. And I think that you can have a conversation with somebody without getting bogged down in the nuts and bolts of the technology. And you may lose some of the nuances as you do that, but I think that people can get the idea about how things work. Justin Ratner, who was just sort of forcibly retired as Intel CTO, was my college roommate, was successful as Intel CTO primarily, besides being brilliant, but he could get in front of a huge audience and explain the most complex situation almost in layman's terms. The only thing that he couldn't really explain was quantum physics, and I said, I don't understand it, and he goes, nobody does, so just don't bother. But other than that, I think that most of this stuff does not, pardon me, but it does not have to be rocket science, and can be understood by most folks, and can be reduced not to an idiot level, but to reasonable intelligence.
We should have a conversation about quantum tunneling. But anyway, getting back, but what was the name of the movie with this guy? He goes to sleep and comes up in the future, and everybody is an idiot. What was that?
Idiocracy.
Idiocracy. By the mere fact that technology is so pervasive and becoming even more pervasive, isn't it reasonable to assume that people are just going to have to know about this stuff? They don't have to be experts, but they need to know about it just to get involved with life, and they won't really have to think about it with the Internet of Things. It's just going to be there, and it's going to, or does the next generation or two generations have to die off before, and then the upcoming generation will have any problems with this? What do you think?
Well, I think it's an interesting question, and my wife and I have this animated discussion on an ongoing basis. Technology has changed a lot of our culture for the better and for the worse over the last generation. for the better, in that we can do things now that we couldn't dream of doing a generation ago. Every bit of information, or almost every bit of information that you could possibly want, is at your fingertips.
Huh.
You couldn't conceive of that. I mean, the time that's reduced in terms of trying to find answers to questions is remarkable. But the flip side of it is that we are creating a generation of idiots. They don't speak the English language. They cannot communicate. Social intercourse is a lost, a lost feature to them. These kids will sit in a room and they'll text one another because they're afraid to talk to each other. And I find some of that quite frightening. And I think, the fact that if you walk into a grocery store and you turn around to the kid behind the cash register and say, "Can you figure out my change, without using the cash register?" The answer is no, they probably can't.
I've seen that happen. They have. You're absolutely correct. But maybe on the flip side, because we did it the old-fashioned way, is necessarily the old-fashioned way old-fashioned? I mean, do they really need to? They have everything in place. Granted, if we have a nuclear holocaust, and
Whoa. Nuclear holocaust, not nuclear holocaust. But anyways, no. I think what he was mentioning was that most of these are the basics. Like, these are the fundamentals, and the younger generation today seems to be, lacking them because technology has taken the place of the fundamentals, and that's not good. But at the same time, the younger generation, they are really, really good at what's beyond the fundamentals. They know how to use most pieces of technology right out of the box. Like, they know how to troubleshoot. They know how to get the information that they're looking for very, very efficiently. It's just the basics. The basics are kind of being dropped.
Right, and so you raised a very interesting point. You mentioned the nuclear holocaust. I'm not really a believer in that, but to some extent, I am at least a mini sort of survivalist, because I believe that as we become increasingly reliant on technology, we also become increasingly exposed to its failures. And we've seen this in the last 10 years with Superstorm Sandy as a primary example. We know that our entire electrical grid is subject to hacking. Our infrastructure is subject to hacking. If we lose power for 3 days, we lose our food supply, because supermarkets basically have a just-in-time delivery system. If they can't get food in 2-3 days, all their shelves are going to be empty. Well, what do you do if that starts happening? And I don't know that today's younger generation is equipped to deal with that if it comes along. So I would sort of agree with you in that they don't know enough of the basics. And I think that some of that needs to be taught and retaught. Being conversant with the technology and being able to look online and get the information you need is one of the essentials in the 21st century. But I also think that still having the basics that they had in the 19th century is pretty essential as well.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, I would agree with you to a certain extent. I mean, if I need something or I need to look something up, or Bentley, so we just reach for our smartphones and we get the answer within moments. And I mean, on any topic, literally, because what the sum total of human knowledge is out there on the internet somewhere, and with the amazing searching ability, you can find it, in seconds, which is. But if we had our smartphones taken away, or we didn't have them for, let's say, a week, because there was
go into convulsions. It would be horrible.
No, you just have to have conversations, and if you didn't know the answer to something, says, well, we'll have to look it up.
Then you just look at the oldest person in the room and say, "Does that sound right to you?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
Well, I mean that's actually a very valid point. It's what happens right now. So, for example, Google is a terrific example of this. Much of what Google does for a living relies on the ubiquity of a cloud connection.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have that, you really don't necessarily have access to what Google wants you to have. So if you go to I was in Europe last week with my smartphone, and looking around for directions, and I had two devices with me. I had my iPhone with lots and lots of apps on it, and I had a Garmin 650T handheld navigator.
Okay.
And in order to get from point A to point B, I would basically do waypoints on the Garmin, and I would also ask Google Maps, how to get me from point A to point B. What I found was that the Google Maps solution was far more accurate on a step-by-step basis. But if you lost the cloud, you were just screwed.
Okay.
All right? And because of the pervasiveness of GPS, the Garmin, which was not quite as accurate in terms of step-by-step, at least knew how to point me in the right direction and get me there regardless.
And how often did you lose the cloud, though, when you were in Europe? Was it
it happened. I mean, it's happened to me before, so it's really, it's been spotty.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
so essentially what I'm getting at is that we've come to rely on a lot of these technologies, probably more than we should, and to some extent the industry wants us to believe that they're there more pervasively than they are. And when you see what happens when Mother Nature turns her wrath against us in a snowstorm where you lose power for 3, 4, 5, 8 days, as we have here in the Northeast, or from a hurricane or from a flood, the notion of using your technology as a survival tool goes away.
Well,
scary thought.
It is. It is.
I don't want to scare the crap out of anybody. This is, what I think people need to recognize is that the technology is wonderful, and I'm a huge advocate of moving it further and further along. I believe that all of this stuff is going to help us, and is helping us today, and has been helping us for 25, 30 years now. But to abandon the basics and say we're going to rely on this, because when the shit hits the fan, it's going to be there for us. It isn't necessarily.
Can you say that on the air? I don't know.
Yeah, well.
Okay.
If Jon Stewart can get away with it,
Exactly. So, yeah, but let me ask you this: when it comes to the 50+ market, do you think in any way that market has been mischaracterized in any particular way?
Well, yeah. I mean, the fact is that as I said earlier, there's been a general assumption that these guys don't know what they're doing. They're tech phobic or they're tech shy, and I don't think that's certainly a characteristic. Now, when you get to folks who are over 70, 75, and 80.
Yeah,
I think that becomes true. But I've got into assisted living facilities where I've seen nonagenarians, folks who are 90 years old, learning how to use computers for the first time. I've seen it being used to help Alzheimer's patients reconnect with their histories by being able to explore on the internet areas where they've grown up. And the light gone on in their eyes when they discover the power of being able to connect with their kids, their grandkids, and their great-grandkids on a computer. So I think that to a large extent they have been mischaracterized. Certainly when it comes to 50, 55, 60-year-olds, these are people who know technology, who came up with it, and to write them off based on what you think they know about technology is a mistake. The reality is that they are challenged with their eyesight, with their dexterity, and with some of the other things we discussed, but it's not their ability to understand the technology.
It's the interface is getting a little aged, is what you're saying. But
yeah.
But the smarts are still there. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the vast majority of people who are over age 50 have eyesight issues, period.
Yeah, exactly. But fortunately, as you say, I mean, the screens are either bigger and the text is bigger, and I mean, this is all there to help.
Well, the answer is to some extent that is true. You can pinch and zoom, But Microsoft has done a miserable job with its OS. In terms of its magnifier has really been kludgy from the outset. And you talk to the Microsoft guys and they'll admit, well, the engineers design the operating system, and then they turn around to the accessibility folks and say, well, can you bolt something onto this?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a bolt-on. It's not integrated.
Well, Gary, listen, this has been a lot of fun. It's been very educational. And again, your website, Tech50 Plus, and you can go to our website at computeramerica.com. We have the links to it there, or you can go to the website directly at TECH50PLUS, tech50plus.com. Please check it out. There's a lot of great articles on there. And Gary, hopefully we can get you back on the show again soon.
It would be my pleasure.
All right.
It would be my pleasure, Craig. Thank you.
Thank
you, Ben.
Thank you so much for being here today. All right, you take care, Gary. Have a good evening.
Okay, you too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night. All right, there you go. Gary Kay, again, award-winning journalist, Tech50 Plus, the website. Check it out. I think you're going to find a lot of interesting articles. You should bookmark it and stick with it.
They seem to have a lot of content, so.
All right. Coming up in hour 2, computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And we got some interesting stories. Windows 10 obviously is in the news. We got some interesting stories there. We're going to get to it right after this quick break. You're listening to the Computer America Show. We'll be right back.
What are you doing right now? Listening to a radio show, right? And why? It could be because you get to hear about new things, get more information about them than you do in typical drive-by coverage. And the way you get to hear about them is fun. That's why I like Computer America, and it's why I think you'll like the Monday through Friday hour-long Bell Ringers show when it debuts on nationwide radio on August 31st. Each show has 4 in-depth reports on some brand new product or service you never heard about before. They also send releases to traditional online and social media to help those debuts make news from a show that's always newer than news. And that's going to be news to anybody you know who's planning their own new launch. So please, be their hero and ours by getting them to take a look at bellringersmedia.com. That's BELLRINGERSMEDIA.com. See, that's our challenge. We don't yet have a Bell Ringers out there to help us debut Bell Ringers, but they will. Ask them to hurry. September segments are booking now.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello, and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we had a really interesting hour. I mean, Gary Kay, Gary MK, founder and chief content officer for Tech50 Plus, has had
quite the story.
Right, exactly. Obviously, a lot of really good information, very knowledgeable gentleman, and hopefully we can have him back on the show on a more regular basis. And not necessarily from the 50 plus. I mean, we can talk about contemporary issues too, but obviously that's his area or specialty now, getting to writing
that's
about.
What he's focusing on is getting that 50 plus audience re-engaged.
Yes, exactly. And he's doing an excellent job. Again, his website is tech50plus.com, and you can also find it at our website at computeramerica.com. Before we get into we're going to do computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. We're going to be doing all of that coming up in this hour. A lot of interesting stories. We had a couple of questions that do you want to do those now, or do you want to save them for another day, or do you want to?
No, we should probably do them now.
Okay.
Get them out of the way.
Okay. Well, this first question is from Las Vegas. Kyle Thrower asked this question. He wanted to know, and I think we talked a little bit about it, but the question is, what is the link for Windows 10? He says, I've had many emails over the subject, but no link to get the free copy yet. Just a lot of hype, excuse me. And and I believe you mentioned that the process though originally was to register for a free
Yeah,
copy.
I'm gonna send him this link actually, since since we're doing the question, and I am going to send it to you as well, so you can put it in the show notes.
Okay.
Just another easy place to find it.
Okay.
But for anyone out there, Microsoft.com/en.us, so the US website /software-download/Windows 10, and like that's it. And so you go there, you select 32 or 64-bit, whichever operating system you prefer, and bing, bang, boom, there you are.
Okay. We'll have that. We'll put that link in the show notes.
Yep, and I'll respond to this gentleman here.
Yes, and he also asked, "Is anyone coming to Black Cat?" I think he means Black Hat, because
that is a security conference out in Las Vegas, actually.
Yes, it is. Black Cat, I don't think is anything really. I think it's just that's an animal. But Black Hat, yes, is a.
I mean, if you have any leaves on a black cat, we love animals. Nothing wrong with cats.
So I know our security expert Charles Tendell likes going out to Black Hat and DEF CON.
He will probably be out there himself. Yes,
I would think so. Yes, so that would be our answer to that. So hopefully that helps. And then this other question again. And by the way, let me just tell you, these questions are coming to us again via our website at computeramerica.com. All you have to do is go to our homepage, and we have the pull-down menu. We have the home, show lounge, interact. Under show lounge, if you hover over it, that's the second item from the left on it. It says submit a question, and you just have to click that, and you can just submit the question to us that way, in addition to calling us if you want.
Well, there's that, and then of course the easiest way, which is top right of our website. Join the conversation. Give it, they give you the call in, they give you the email, and then they give you a link. Click to submit a question right there.
That's it. Exactly. All right.
On every page.
On every page. Okay. Well, this next question again comes is this listener says that he has an Asus Zonar DX sound card, and it's a nice looking card. It's a quick. When I first read this, for some reason I was thinking he's talking graphics card, but it said sound card. Right?
Yeah, sound card.
Yeah, it's a sound card. He says, lately when I play either a Grand Theft Auto 4 or Grand Theft Auto 5, about 6 to 10 minutes into the game, the audio crashes. I mean, I assume what he means by audio crashes, he doesn't hear car crashes and everything. The audio,
no, it probably stops working and all the audio goes away.
Right, exactly. If he continues to hear car crash sounds, then that's a whole different problem.
Then that's just, the local neighborhood kids having their fun.
Exactly. He says, if I continue to play the game without audio, he says, eventually the game itself crashes as well, which doesn't bode well. He says, now here's what he's done. He says, I removed the sound card from the computer.
Buried it underground, set it on fire, doused it in gasoline, used the Holy Cross. Nothing seems to be working for this guy.
He exercised it, yes. He says, I've uninstalled all audio drivers, all of them. He says, the onboard sound card on my motherboard has been disabled in the BIOS, which was one of the things I was going to tell him to do, but he's already done that. He says, I then rebooted the PC with the sound card installed, and everything works fine. Okay. He says, however, the issue doesn't seem to happen every time, so I'm not sure if it's truly fixed. And
any suggestions?
Yeah. Well, I'm confused because I don't understand that last sentence. He says, the issue doesn't seem to happen every time. So in other words, after you've done all that, Jonathan, are you saying that it still happens or it doesn't happen anymore?
He seems to think that it doesn't. It's not happening lately, but he's not sure if what he did was the absolute solution to the problem. So he's kind of wondering if we have any ideas as to what could cause this, and if we could give him any other suggested fixes for said problem.
Well, again, where are you sure you're getting the latest driver? That's the first thing to do it, and you can go directly to the Asus website and the Zonar DX sound card and download the latest version of the driver. You can also use Slimware Utilities. They have a driver update feature which you can use. so you're assured of getting the latest version. It's called Slim Driver, and so you can use that. But if you're absolutely sure that you have the latest version and you've done all these things, and it seems to be working, and it hasn't crashed again since you've done those things, then my feeling is that you've done everything that you can. That it seems to that I know of that you can do. You've disabled the conflict, because that's another common thing where you don't disable the sound on your motherboard and then in the BIOS, but you've done that. Again, now if it happens again, let us know, and then we can research it further. But I think that you've done. I think, unless you have any other ideas, Ben, I think he's done pretty much everything that I would have suggested.
There are third-party makers of drivers for sound cards, and the particular sound card that you have, let's see, the Asus Sonar Zonar DX. There's a website called maxtech.com, and they make drivers just for the Zonar line of products. So go check out their website, and just because a driver may be the latest doesn't necessarily mean it would be the best, because I've had new drivers that have caused pieces of hardware to crash and fail on me.
So you're saying the manufacturer's driver is not necessarily the best driver that's out there?
No, not always the case. And it seems like there's a pretty nice big community around this. So through some Googling, or just go to maxtech.com, and you can actually find drivers, and they have, and like I said, they have like a forum there where you can ask your question and just kind of poke around and see which one of these drivers would actually be best for you.
Okay. All right. Well, there it is. All right. Well, I think it's time for us to do some computer news. And again, if you have more questions, please submit them to us, either calling us 347-884-8881, or go to our new question submission page right there. You can click right on every page, click to submit a question. It's right there on the top right-hand corner of every page, or go to the show lounge and hover, and you can do that as well. Okay. All right. Then let's do some computer news. We got a lot of interesting stories going on. Okay. So let's.
All right.
Tonight's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system absolutely free. That's right. You heard me. Free. No freemium models, no pay us later on, none of that. Everything at the slimwareutilities.com website is completely free. Download them all. Why not? They're free. Have them on your computer. Run them in the background. It won't interfere with the work that you're doing. It'll truly keep your system clean. It'll speed it up and optimize it. You'll be happy that you did, and you'll thank us for it. slimwareutilities.com. And in this very first story here, from Maximum PC, Paul Lilly. I need to get him on the show.
He used to be on the show a lot.
Yeah, but I need to get him back.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Microsoft's plans include PC to Xbox One game streaming. Okay.
That title is very different from what we have reported on before.
Yes, it is. Okay. It's going to turn the Xbox One into a Steam machine. Okay. Because when Microsoft announced that anyone with an Xbox One would be able to stream their games to a PC running Windows 10, Paul said that, a lot of us thought, wow, well, couldn't they see that work in reverse? And he was actually a little creeped out, because apparently Microsoft can read our minds and has put that functionality on its to-do list. Yes, actually, the topic here is being able to play PC games through an Xbox One onto your living room TV, okay? And that came up when Microsoft announced that it was adding keyboard and mouse support to its flagship console, okay? So now, again, according to this article, Microsoft may not have a game plan in place, but this is definitely something that Microsoft wants to do. Okay. They also had an interview with The Verge to elaborate on this. He said, a Microsoft spokesperson said, "We understand if you're going to go PC to Xbox, we need to get keyboard and mouse working completely so you can play those games." According to this person, spokesperson, he says, in terms of where we want to go with our platform, Microsoft's platform, those are things that are absolutely in the scope of things that they want to do. But it's going to take a little bit of work. There's no timeline and when this might happen, but clearly it's a challenge that Microsoft is going to be tackling. So there you go.
It's not impossible. Obviously, they can do it by taking games from the Xbox, moving it to the PC. So PC to the Xbox should not be too hard. Streaming content one way or the other, because they're both they're both PCs, shouldn't be too hard. It's nice to know that they can still add functionality to the Xbox One after the fact, because growing up with the Xbox original, growing up with the Nintendo 64, growing up with the Xbox 360 even, you kind of had in your head that the device that you buy at the moment is the same device you're going to get 4 or 5 years down the road. Like, that device is that device is that device. But with the Xbox One, it seems like, especially over the past couple months, they're adding features like crazy to this thing, and the Xbox One just seems to be getting so much more attention and love than any other PC out there, or I'm sorry, any other console out there, where it's adding functionality, it's adding features, it's adding all these things that if you've already purchased one, you're just going to get naturally because you already own it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's all value added to the Xbox One.
Yep, exactly. Well, there you go. So it's looking better and better.
Yep. And just wanted to throw this one out here. A gentleman was recently riding his bike across America to raise money for a whole bunch of different causes. He's one of a couple, I won't say a couple hundred, but there were many, many bikers who were biking across America for many different causes and trying to raise awareness and raising money. His particular cause was, pretty sure his cause was low-income housing or affordable housing.
Was that for veterans? I think it was for veterans.
I might have been for veterans.
Yeah, I think it was.
But yeah, he today actually was recently hit by a car.
No way.
Riding across. He was in Oklahoma, riding from the West Coast to the East Coast, and was hit by a car in Oklahoma by a woman who was distracted while driving.
Oh, I hope she wasn't texting.
And I think the officers were claiming it might have been a smartphone, or they haven't concluded their investigation yet. But she was passing all of these bikers. There are hundreds of them, and I guess she was distracted by, be it a radio, a GPS unit, a phone, something. She was distracted, and unfortunately, this gentleman was hit and killed.
It was killed. Oh my God.
So as a radio program, and many people listen to us in the car, we feel, or at least I feel, it would be a nice little reminder to, it's unfortunate that this gentleman was hit and struck by a distracted driver, but put down your devices while you're driving and just focus on the road.
Yeah, exactly.
So
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, sorry to hear that. Patrick Wenninkoff was his name. 25 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Not good.
No.
So, moving from that, nice little PSA, off to another story pertaining to tech. And we're gonna go now to, we have a lot of great articles from Macs and PC. Yep. I think we're gonna go on over to this one from Popular Science. And one I think is a technological advancement I think we can all look forward to.
Okay.
This one is called Enlighten.
Oh.
Enlighten lets your car talk to traffic lights. And this is by Kristen Hall Geisler, and this app called Enlighten will let you know. So the CEO and founder of Connected Signals says that he hates traffic lights, as do, I'm sure, many people.
Yep.
Which is why Connected Signals was created in Lighten, an app for iOS and Android that communicates with a city's traffic lights to let you know when a stale green light is about to turn yellow, or a red light 2 blocks ahead will turn green. It's a very simple interface. It's very deliberate in being boring and non-distracting. It's either a red, yellow, or green circle that indicates the color of the light, and then of course it has a little countdown that pops up at the bottom of the circle, letting the driver know how long before the green light goes to red or red to green.
I'm wondering. I'm going to play the devil's advocate here and say this could work in reverse. Because if you're driving along and you see green light and you say, "Oh, you've got 15 seconds," are you going to stop because you don't think you can make it, or are you going to speed your car up to try to make the green light because you know you have 15 seconds?
Could be. It might. Some people might kind of treat it as the word of law and says my iPhone app is going to be. My iPhone app said that this green light was going to be green for 10 more seconds. I think I can make the 300 yards to that traffic light. It may cause a little bit at first, but they have a quote here from the CEO saying that knowing how long the light will be red makes it seem shorter, not longer, or not that I can make it. You feel like you are controlling it. You aren't. A chime sounds 5 seconds before the light turns green again, alerting the driver to that whatever song he's queued up on Spotify will have to do at least until the next red light. So Enlighten requires the cooperation of cities to make it work. And so far, Portland and Eugene, Oregon are fully covered, as well as Salt Lake City, so not available in all areas. The app will roll out in other cities as companies gain access to its traffic signals. The app has to talk to the central system, which talks to the traffic lights and communicates this information with Enlighten. BMW announced on Monday that iDrive system will integrate Enlighten for iOS. So BMW will be putting this feature in their car. Any BMW with the iDrive system, even cars already on the road, can install the app and control it using iDrive. The car sensors and turning signals also integrate with the app for situations such as left-hand turn lanes. So, it sounds like a good idea. It's connecting cars and connecting people to something that I know I hadn't really thought of, which is there's this whole series of automation that goes on behind the scenes in a lot of cities. And the most obvious one is, of course, the traffic lights, because you just have to, you can either look around the corner and kind of see if the opposite direction traffic, if they have a yellow light, you know yours is about to turn green, or you usually get a kind of sense of a feel. But with an app like this, you'll know exactly when that light turns red or green, which can be very, very helpful.
This is sort of, you ever see they're appearing more and more now. They've actually have traffic lights where the yellow light is not only yellow, it's actually a digital countdown. So and it goes 10, 9, 8. So you don't need anything in your car to see that it's going to change. And I wonder how many people speed up because they say, "Oh, I got 7 seconds. Let me see if I can make it," or if they in fact slow down because they only have like 7 seconds.
If there's one thing I'm sure of, and I've run across enough of those little black hoses that they use to
monitor speed.
If they use to monitor, I think the older ones just monitor traffic count, but I think the new ones monitor speed as well. But I've run across enough of them to know that they are monitoring everything. We've had Intel on the show. We've had many companies on the show talking about smart cities, where they are tracking everything you do. And if it shows that, hey, putting those numbers up, is actually causing people to run more yellow lights, then I'm sure they'd stop doing it. So putting the technology out there, I think, is going to be beneficial until they can prove it's not. Because, hey, just knowing, I would think, would be better than not knowing.
What about traffic cameras, though? Are you for that too? When
traffic cameras are different. Traffic camera is breaking one of the there's a law in the book that says you have the right to face your accuser in the court of law. You can't face a traffic camera, therefore it's unconstitutional. I don't care for that law at all. But this is not traffic camera handing you a $30 ticket is different than, hey, this light is going to turn green in 10 seconds. They're very different. More technology and more transparency is always good.
You know what I like? A summary, crosswalks where people are crossing, instead of just having, the sign going, they actually have a countdown. It'll say 20, 19, 18.
Yes, that's getting more and more common. I love that. That's very, very good.
I like that because that really gives you because if you're there and you see the red light flashing, you don't know how much time you have. This way you can judge, let's say the cross street is like
so many people when they see the flashing walk sign letting you know that it's about to change, so many people hike up their pants and make a run for it. And sometimes they make a run for it right into the middle of traffic.
Right, exactly.
And then they're trapped on the median.
Yeah, but the countdown, I think, really gives you a better feel for
for sure. So hopefully, enlighten and just like the article said, that this is going to be built into certain cars by BMW. These systems will. This is, I'm sure, just the first of many. These systems are coming to a smartphone near you. Hopefully.
Okay. I remember when they first came out, the Ouya. And they had this incredible
so much promise.
Yeah, so they had this incredible Kickstarter campaign. It turns out what
like $5 million something.
Yeah, $8.6 million.
8.6. That's it
exactly. And it looks so cool. It was a little cube. It was going to be, well, guess what? Razer announced on Monday that it has acquired the software assets of Ouya. The Android console that was so basically Ouya is going bye-bye.
Kind of, not really.
Well, the software is going to stay there, but the hardware is going to go, I think.
Kind of, not really.
Well, okay, let's see what the story says. It says, according to Razer, the company has acquired Ouya's developer relations personnel and their technical team. Both departments now serve Razer under its software arm. The company also plans to relaunch the Ouya store as Cortex for Android TV, the store that serves up games and other content for Razer's Forge TV set-top box. So what does this mean for the current Ouya console owners, if you already have one? Well, they said the company will provide Ouya owners with a deep discount on Ouya hardware. There will also be a spate of freebies, giveaways, and promotions on newly purchased Forge consoles, and even more. These customers will be able to bring their accounts, controllers, and games over to the Forge console. So I read into that it's all going over to the Forge console, and the Ouya is going away.
Yes, the console itself. But luckily, it sounds like they're still honoring the ecosystem. They're still honoring the controller. They're still honoring all the games you purchase. So it's not a complete wash if you bought into the Ouya console. Because again, $8.6 million from a crowdsourcing start. So that $8.6 million was raised by people. This is not venture capital. This was $8.6 million worth of people bought the console early, donated to the console, all that kind of thing. And it's nice to see that Razer, even after purchasing them, didn't just gut them, take what they wanted, and left everyone stranded. They were smart enough, really, because they're locking a lot of people into their new Forge console, that they can bring over their games, they can bring over their controllers, they can bring over as much as possible other than the Ouya console.
Well, the big selling point with Forge TV is that it allows PC gamers to stream their favorite games from a PC to the set-top box. Gee, okay.
That seems to be a hot button topic nowadays.
Yeah, it does, right? Didn't Microsoft just announce it? Okay. For the Xbox One. The device is also based on Android TV, meaning customers will have access to all of their Android games. There's no repurchasing titles going on. Okay. So Razer evidently has a long-term vision for Android TV and Android-based TV consoles, such as the Xiaomi Mi box and the Alibaba T-Mail box, to which Ouya already publishes.
You say Alibaba?
Alibaba.
Alibaba.
Yeah, Alibaba.
I was like, Alabama is a state
It's
in
state,
the US.
right? Yeah, exactly. uh, uh, so it looks like no
We had
one's
Ouya on the show, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It looks like no one's getting hurt. It looks like everybody's going to have a path to take. They're not being totally abandoned here.
Yes, we did have Ouya on the show.
Yep.
Sunday. I'm sorry, April 7th, 2013.
There you go.
It's been a while.
Yes, it has been. Maybe we'll get him back. Or
Well, not. Oh, now we definitely can't. Now we have to have Razor on.
Razor on. Yeah, we'll get Razor on. We've had Razor on the show, too.
Oh, yeah, I know. We've had Razor on the show a lot. It's just Ouya missed that boat. It's been about 2 years, and now you have to go through Razor just to get to the same people.
Ouya, we're going to miss ya.
But anywho. So I think they're in good hands. Razer makes very good products. They're very in tune with the gaming market. And if anyone was going to take it over, Razer is going to make is going to make a nice home for, I'm sure, what a lot of people consider to be a very passionate gaming company.
Yes.
So, next article, and I know we only have about a minute and a half, so we'll just get this started. And we've talked a lot about these consoles. I personally sing the praises of the Xbox One. I think it's a great console. We've had many people on the show who are rabid PS4 fans. The Wii U is there. No one's ever said it was too bad. It's just kind of it's a distant third, the Wii U, because it's an older console. But there's a new analysis.
Really?
There's a new analysis, and we'll get into the numbers, but get this. I thought the Xbox One and the PS4 were getting pretty neck and neck. Not even close.
Really?
Sony pushes past 50% of the worldwide console market.
Oh my gosh, look at that bar chart.
I know the bar chart may be misleading, but hey, it's numbers. So at the end of the day, the PS4 again has over 50% of the console market, with an Xbox One a distant second. I didn't know. I didn't think it was so unfair.
Yeah. That story is how to play DVDs in Windows 10 for free. That's coming up too. We've got lots of great stories here on the Computer America Show. Brought to you by Slimware Utilities. We got a news tips bulletin review from Marty Winston. We'll be right back with those stories and more right after this.
This is a commercial, so okay, some of you can take a minute for a bathroom break, but if you're in marketing at a company or an agency and you're launching a new product or new service anytime on or after August 31st, this is important. Take a look at bellringersmedia.com. It's a game changer. I'll kill a few seconds so you can grab something to write down that URL. SlashGear, same-day guaranteed full coverage on a top 5 online news site. Business Wire, PR Newswire, and PR web releases to traditional and online and social media. Full segment coverage on our nationwide radio show over so many stations that more than 50 million people can tune us in. Plus an annual production budget of more than $10 million. So you know it's going to be more polished and higher energy than anything else on radio. Ready for that URL? It's bellringersmedia.com. That's BELLRINGERSMEDIA.com. But hurry, September segments are booking now.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? That's so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
No one else can hear us, right? Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time the Honeywell DH50W 50-pint dehumidifier. We try to keep our crosshairs on avoidable workspace interruptions and other productivity reducers. So we got in the double whammy of a Honeywell DH50W dehumidifier. The 50-pint rating is how much water it can condense in 24 hours. 45 to 50 pints from most rooms and 50 to 70 pints from basements or large rooms. Its handle-equipped tank holds a bit over 14 pints, and there's an auto shut-off when it's full, or it has a garden hose fitting that allows continuous draining. This dehumidifier is big on intelligence and convenience features. A digital humidistat that lets you set a target humidity, automatic on-off timer, automatic low-temperature defrost, 2 fan speeds, a washable air filter, and automatic recovery after power failures. Bottom line, you can explain that you're buying it to prevent mold and mildew. But the real reason for a Honeywell DH50W is that both your work and its caretaking are no sweat. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour. We are doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. And we're just going over the news events of the day, all that kind of thing, answering your questions if you have them, answering your calls if you call them. And right now we're getting into this article, this one from Ars Technica. I don't believe we actually, Kyle Orland. And these are actually the worldwide shipments for the second quarter calendar of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the shipments over the past 3 months, which is 3 million shipments to about 1 million shipments for the Xbox One, by about 500,000 shipments for the Wii U. And here at the next bar chart, they have the total, which isn't looking as grim, but it's not looking any better. Whereas they say that that PS4 has about 25% of the market, Xbox One has about 14% of the market. They aren't really sure. The numbers are fuzzy, and the Wii U has about 10 million units out.
Okay.
So they're a little bit closer, but all these numbers come from a quarterly earnings report that Sony just released. And this is the first time that everyone's putting the data all together. And it shows that while PlayStation may be suffering from somewhat of a media lapse, like they're obviously not making headlines as much as the Xbox One, obviously due to Microsoft and all the integration they are receiving through Windows 10. Mm-hmm. But even without that, PlayStation 4 continues to just slam the Xbox One in terms of sales. It's interesting.
It is. What is that one point? What's that? The uncertainty in estimated Xbox platform split. What split are they referring to?
Yeah. Well, they have that here in the article, saying that separating out the Xbox One sales from the Xbox 360 in the reported Xbox numbers is still not an exact science.
Okay.
So they have the older system a range of about 350,000 to about 560,000, because yes, you can still purchase the Xbox 360 from Microsoft, and they lump those numbers together. They lump the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One and just say total Xbox sales. Okay. So they're kind of cheating the system, beefing up their numbers a little bit to even help them make up the little ground that they have. So, but what does this all mean? It just means that in terms of life to date, Sony has now shipped anywhere from 10 to 12 million more PlayStation 4s than they have over Xbox Ones. So PlayStation 4, while again, at least personally, it seems like they're suffering from a little bit of a lapse, they are still just trouncing the Xbox One, and the Xbox One and Microsoft in general has a lot of ground to make up in the console market.
Okay. All right. Well, you're still going to be an Xbox One. That's what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you need to play Halo. Okay.
Halo's a big draw, though. Halo 4 obviously came out for the Xbox 360, so not a lot of drive there. Halo 5, though, should be coming out very, very soon. So that's going to be a big driver.
And that Halo 5 is only going to be for Xbox One, correct?
No planned announcements yet.
Okay. All right.
But of course, it will be an Xbox exclusive. We're just not sure yet if it's going to be an Xbox One, Xbox 360, or just an Xbox One exclusive. Not sure yet.
Not sure. Okay. Well, here we are on the day after Windows 10 is now available, and this article is from Tech50. Ian Paul wrote this, and he says, "How to play DVDs in Windows 10 for free." He says Windows 10 won't play DVDs natively, and Windows Media Center is gone. Poof! What happened to it? It's gone. Okay. So he says Windows 10 brings a lot of good stuff to the table, but it also takes away some key functionality that Windows 7 users might miss. You see, in Windows 10, you're going to have to say goodbye to Windows Media Center, and with it, the ability to play DVDs natively. Okay. Now, when he says natively, that means that's in the operating system. You can buy something like Nero, something that is an add-on piece of software, but that will do it. But within Windows 10 itself, you won't be able to do. Now, Microsoft did say way back in May that it would have a native solution for DVD playback to make up for those who lost it. Okay. Now, according to Ian, he says this app was supposed to show up later in the year, but Microsoft's solution is already available. He says in his tests, however, the app doesn't work perfectly, and he says luckily there are some other options. So, and he goes
to just kind of move along to the end, and no offense, but this is something that we already offer on our Computer America site. This is something that we continue to offer, or that we continue to kind of say, hey, this is the best. They offer one very simple solution that we've been recommending even before Windows 10,
which is
VLC player.
Yes, VLC. I use VLC, but I use VLC when all else fails, and it don't work. I pull it, and VLC like 99 times out of 100 will play it.
Yep. So that is the author's recommendation, is that if you don't feel like trusting the Windows 10 native DVD program, which he himself claims is pretty buggy, VLC should do the trick.
Okay, there it is. Then VLC comes to the rescue once again.
Yep. So and besides, VLC is just not bad to have on your computer anyways. It's a very versatile piece of software.
Yes, it is. Okay.
All right. This one is very, very cool. I like this one a lot. I'm not really into cameras. I've researched them. I've purchased a really, really crappy one. They are, they're just cameras. But this one takes the cake. This is a full frame camera that shoots at ISO 4 million.
4 million ISO?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy. So now this article was from Wired, although it's making the rounds all across the internet because this thing is just so incredibly crazy. There's a video out there that you should definitely check out. I should probably go look that up actually while we're talking about this, but it's called the Canon ME20F-SH camera.
It just rolls trippingly off the tongue.
I know it does. It does. And here, I'm actually going to find the video for it, because what this thing does, 4 million is a big number, but you really don't know what that means until you actually see what it has. And this camera is seriously edge of the future kind of stuff. This is brand new. Although, guess how much it costs just right off the bat?
Oh.
Before we get into everything that it does.
$30.
$30,000.
$30,000
for this little camera.
Little tiny camera.
Yep.
That's $30,000. That's a car.
Yeah, it's not a joke piece of equipment.
No, evidently
this thing is pretty crazy. And we're going to throw up a video here on our video portion. It's going going to show the difference between these two,
Mhm.
as we talk about it, and it's crazy. Okay, but keep in mind this camera is built to shoot HD video rather than stills, and it's a big reason for the 2 megapixel sensor, which provides the ample resolution for 1920 by 1080 video at 60 frames, 24 frames, and 30 frames per second. And I think the best thing about this is that it can capture accurate colors with little to no light. So it's just so incredible. It can turn what other cameras would capture as nighttime. You take this thing, you point and you click, and it turns it into daytime. It is just so incredible, the kinds of pictures that you get, because it can take all that light sensor and pick up on all of it and put it into, a digital picture. It's like, I think you really have to go see the video of this thing, just the difference it makes.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but yes, night and day. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. 40 million ISO.
Yep, 4 million ISO.
4 million ISO. Yeah, 4 million ISO. Exactly.
For $30,000, this could be yours. But of course, what's found in the top of the creme de la creme, the top of cameras, will eventually make its way down to something more affordable. And it's pretty crazy.
It is. I guess, when you want the bleeding edge stuff.
You pay an arm and a leg for it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Now, we teased this at the beginning. If you're sitting patiently waiting for Windows 10 to be notified that you're, you did the early thing to get Windows 10 and you still don't have it, Ben has discovered a website that's Microsoft's website that will allow you to download Windows 10 disk image. Okay, so basically you can do it right here. Again, the website says that tells you before you begin what you have to have. Read the system requirements.
Yeah, let me just throw that up there. It's very straightforward. It has the system requirements. You have all that kind of stuff, and of course you'll need your Windows product key, which you should be able to find pretty easily on your own system. Not that hard, but yeah, you just pick 32-bit or 64-bit, and you're off and going.
Yeah, you can look on your CD, isn't the product?
Most people didn't get a.
Yeah. Exactly.
Most people they purchased theirs and it came automatically on it. And if that's the case, a lot of computers have a sticker on the backside of a desktop or the underside of a laptop, and it will actually be your Windows license.
Yeah, exactly.
On that sticker. So check it there. And worst comes to worst, you can of course look it up in your operating system.
Now they also ask you to select the edition that you want, and he says the Windows 10 editions below are valid for both Windows 10 Home and Windows 10 Pro. And I'm not sure. They're saying Windows 10, Windows 10 KN, Windows 10N, and Windows 10 Single Language. I'm not sure what those are, but it offers those 4 different editions. So
probably business licenses.
Yeah, they have other options that you can look at, but basically that's the website, and it's available. So if you're tired of waiting because it's been a whole day now, you don't have Windows 10. You can go to the website here.
What kind of world is this where you have to wait 24 hours to get access to the newest operating system? What is this world coming to?
I know, but there it is. You can download it. Okay.
Yep. And just to jump back one story, where if you're watching the video portion, I threw up a video of the 4 million ISO camera, and we're gonna see pictures of what this camera is taking, followed by what it looks like to an average camera.
Yeah. Okay.
So right now it's taking a video at a pier. Great. Everyone everyone very, very clearly visible. Looks like about dusk, where they are. And of course people making out. But watch this. It's going to go from that to this is what the average camera would see.
Right.
Pitch black.
Yeah.
It's crazy. to think that a camera can just pick up so much. Now, Craig, are you watching?
Yeah, I'm watching it. Yeah, it's amazing.
Average camera into 4 million ISO. Bam.
Wow, look at that.
It's crazy, awesome pictures, and just want to drive home really what that means for all these people. So, but yeah, no, Windows 10, yes. Camera, yes. Next story.
Okay.
Next story. How about, no, we're not going to do the one about Obama wants us to build the latest supercomputer. We have about 10 more minutes left, so I want something good. I want something good that we can talk about.
This Apple TV rumor?
No, I said good, Greg. I said good.
How about
All right, here's one.
The Facebook drone?
Nope, I got a better one.
Okay.
This is from nextbigfuture.com, and this is about the Army. The old Army. U.S. Navy will field 100 kilowatt or stronger lasers and 10 shot per minute railguns by 2020.
That's amazing technology.
The future is here in terms of warfare. So, yeah, the U.S. Navy is pursuing a multi-pronged approach to fielding energy weapons by the end of the decade, with hopes of upgrading its 30 kilowatt laser gun to 100 kilowatt or more and giving its electromagnetic railgun a higher repetition rate.
And that the railgun fires projectiles without gunpowder.
It uses magnets.
Magnets, yeah.
Yep. It uses electromagnets, and it shoots these giant, I guess, lack of a better term, rails, which would just be giant kinetic.
Yeah. They're projectiles. Yeah.
It's giant kinetic projectiles at very, very, very high speeds and for very, very long distances, and just absolutely destroys whatever it hits.
It's kinetic energy is what they're doing. It's kinetic energy because there's nothing explosive in the shell. They don't need anything explosive in the shell because this thing hits with such impact. The kinetic energy literally destroys anything that it hits. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, they want to. And before, the railgun that they have today, like, they exist in the armed forces today. It's just the railguns that they have, they can only fire one like every couple minutes. Like, it's not a very high rate of fire. So by 2020, they said they wanted to field an electromagnetic railgun that fires 10 shots per minute, which would be just devastating.
Yeah.
And then the other part of this would, of course, be the laser. So they've already have a contract with with someone who can build them a laser gun of 100 to 150 kilowatts. The weapon will go out to sea for a demonstration by 2018, and keeping in line with the goal to transitioning technology from the lab to warfighter as quickly as possible. So yeah, and just wanted to, let's see, yeah, they have a chart here showing what the difference between the wattage is and your average laser pen.
Yeah,
it's about 6-7 watt. It's nothing too surprising. And then of course they have everything from IEDs, mines and ordnances, to ground-based radar, power equipment. All that ranges below the 10 kilowatt. UAVs is about 10 kilowatt, all the way up to incoming artillery shells uses and just put it into perspective, 100 kilowatts would be about the same amount of energy as expended by an aircraft cruise missile, all in the form of a laser.
Wow.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that the future is here when we're talking about these sensors in toasters, sensors in crock pots, whatever, what have you, sensors everywhere. And they have so much data that they can talk about it, and they can find data on anything they want. But at the same time, another part of the future is futuristic warfare, and 100 kilowatt lasers and high rate of fire railguns. That's stuff of science fiction novels.
But it's coming.
Who knew all these authors were hitting on not just what was possible, but what would be next.
Wow.
Pretty crazy.
Very crazy. One of the things, if you watch a baseball game, is that they have the umpires out there, and and so many times that an umpire will call something safe, or whatever, and
then the coach runs out, screams at him, spits his chewing tobacco, and says, "Are you blind? Did you not see that?"
Well, evidently, maybe technology can lend a hand, because it's called a computer umpire, and and this is happening in San Rafael's Albert Park baseball stadium. They're going to have this robot umpire, and this is basically they describe the game, and the computer. But the first pitch in the first professional baseball game to be called by a computer instead of a human umpire is called a strike. Okay, it's looking at this, and evidently it can back it up, because it's incredible. It's far more accurate than a human being could be.
That's the great part about technology. It's very accurate.
This is what they do now on tennis matches. They have they have the umpires. It'll see if the ball hit the white line, or if it just missed the white line, because it's very, very fast, but it can call it extremely accurate. We're seeing more and more of these technology devices being used to call games. I'm not necessarily saying that all umpires' jobs are at risk, but certainly,
no, I'd say that.
Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah. All right. It's going to be a while, obviously, but as these things begin to phase themselves into,
they first kind of made their way in by saying that this technology would help to assist the umpires, because then they can go back and look at the footage and see it.
The old "let me assist you" ploy. Okay.
And then they got in there and they said, "Oh, they can do your entire job." And who knows? This could be the point at which, really, I don't think anyone's ever said of baseball, "What's going on? It's all moving too fast." Like, that doesn't usually happen with baseball. It's a slow game. And they're saying what the robotic umpire helps to do is it keeps the game moving, because in fraction of a second you can be 100% sure if a pitch was a strike, if a pitch was a ball, a foul ball, whatever it may be. You can be 100% sure that ball is whatever that robot umpire claims it to be.
Well, they're saying that the idea that computer technology will become so accurate at detecting locations for sports play that fallible humans will become obsolete. So there you go.
But hey, I can see other people's point where sports are, as much as technology is there to assist people, sports has always been a contest to show the perfect physical specimen. It's people showing their skill, showing their stamina, showing their strength in a in a sport that you can kind of say, okay, this person, this group of people, they are the best. And for all time, up until this point, it's always been subject to some variability, and you just had to deal with that. Some variability in the rules, in the players, and there's human error in everything, and that's kind of what made sports is that human error. So when you take that out from just a couple places, would sports in 5 years, if they replace all the umpires and all the referees with technology, is that sport still the same sport as it was, before all this came into play?
Mm-hmm. Well,
what do you think, Craig?
Is it going to be the dehumanization of participation sports? I don't know. What we're seeing these things, they were using them, trying to see them at the Olympics. I mean, certainly in sports like bowling, they can detect if your foot touched the line.
Not many people. Bowling doesn't really spring to mind when people say sports. Bowling doesn't spring to too many people's minds.
It's a sport.
I saw a guy smoke a cigarette, eat a chili dog, and then go up and bowl. How much of a sport is it really?
You don't have to be super physically fit to bowl, but of course, obviously, the fitter you are, the better you'll be at it. So
I'm just saying, I've never seen a soccer player pull off to the side and have a 4-course meal and get back to playing soccer. It doesn't happen.
Gosh. Well, we're almost out of time. Again, I want to thank our guest in the first hour, Gary Kay, the founder and chief content officer for Tech50 Plus. It was a pleasure having him on the program. And again, if you missed any portion of our show, you can certainly listen to it again. All of our shows are archived at computeramerica.com. Just go to our homepage, and you can and just go right under our press releases, news, and info banner. You just select show archives, and it'll show you all different places where you can listen to it or download the show, the audio, the video. We have links at Apple's iTunes, carries the Computer America show. And again, you can get that's all at computeramerica.com. And you can check it out. And of course, tomorrow night, we're going to have our social media winner of the week. Make sure that you have your entry in. If you haven't, just go to our social media contest page. And it's right under the Interact. And you just go to all of our different places where we interact with social media, like Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and Google Plus and Facebook. Just like each one.
90 seconds.
And each one that you like, that's it. You only have to do it one time, and then you have that many more entries every single one to win that really nice, that Logitech Anywhere MX2, a wireless mouse valued at $80. We'll be giving one again away tomorrow in the second hour of the show. So, still not too late to do it for this week. Tomorrow night, we're going to have, in the first hour, Fingerprint is going to be here. This is it's a kids edutainment.
60 seconds.
And so
edutainment. What's better than that?
Yes, exactly. You have fun, yet you still learn. And then in the second hour, we're going to have a Go Sun Stove. This is a remarkable little device. It's a solar cooker. You can cook just with the power of the sun, but it's a lot more than the way it works is just really, really slick. And then if we have time, we'll do more computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Listen, all of you out there, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And Ben and I will see you, same bat time, same bat station. So until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night, everyone.
10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, again, everybody, thank you so much for being with us here tonight. And we will see you here tomorrow on our video stream after the show. And again, some interesting guests tomorrow. The Go Sun video, Go Sun Stove. Very cool. It actually cooks in a little too. Really amazing. So we'll see all that tomorrow night. Thanks for being with us here. So we'll see you here. Take care.
Everyone.
Good night.